of the underground. Make madness your ritual.
Woo! What's happening, folks? You know what time it is. It's Friday, 7:33. Getting a little late start on the evening. Hope you had a fantastic day in the Twin Cities here. It actually turned out to be a pretty fantastic day. Beautiful, beautiful sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. It's been like 2 weeks of just solid gray, rainy, windy, cold, kind of cool, 30s, 20s, back up to the 30s, 40s, and then we hit about 60 this afternoon, and oh my God, I'll tell you what, man, and I know Nate can attest to this shit. When you get a chance to ride, you want to jump on that shit and get flying, but man, I was like, I'm going to sit in the podcast studio today, man, hang out. Oh, I could have been riding all day. I should have just left work early. But thank you very much for joining us. It is Ritual Madness Podcast. Today is April 16th, 2021, episode 227 with Nate Matanich. And I want you guys to do me a favor. If you're looking to get some screen printing done, you got a benefit coming up, you got a family reunion, you got something like that coming up, you got a band, you want to get some merch, you want to sell some cool shit to people with your logo all over it, if you want to just put your buddy's face on it with a big dick on the side of his cheek, call up Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Custom Screen Printing. All you got to do is hit them up at antibroadcasting@gmail.com or hit them up via phone 612-836-9488. That's 612-836-9488. They're fantastic folks over there. They can get your stuff turned around to you real quick. Just tell them Ritual Madness Podcast sent you. Again, antibroadcasting@gmail.com or 612-836-9488. Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Custom Screen Printing. Hey, if you're looking to get some tattoo work, you know who to call. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, 612-353-4755. lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Hit them up for a quote. They got a lot of good artists over there. They're doing good work, and they always help us out. They always hook us up. I get the family discount over there, man. We've been working together for a long time. Me and Jason have been friends for a long, long time, and go make some friends with them. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, 612-353-4755. lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Do me a favor, if you're a motorcycle rider, you got a hot rod car, you want to hang out, for a good cause, Saturday, June 19th, 10th annual Louis Bailey Senior Memorial Poker Run. It starts at 10 a.m. At Park Place Sports Bar in St. Paul Park, Minnesota, 200 Broadway Avenue, again in St. Paul Park. $20 per rider, and it includes one scorecard, one playing card per stop. Dinner at the end of the run, pulled pork sandwiches and beans and chips and all that goodness provided by Team Bubba Barbecue. Kickstands are up at noon. Stops include the No Name / Monkey Bar in Prescott, the Gaslight, Naughty Hog, Harbor Bar, and then back to Park Place in St. Paul Park for the showdown at the end. And we got a $100 giveaway for the best poker hand at the end of the night. And like I said, you get the scorecard. Each stop you get a card, and it adds up to the best poker hand at the end for $100. If you got a sweet bike, join it. Get involved in this thing. They're giving away a trophy for the best bike that night. I know there's going to be raffles. We've got $200. Blaine Harley Davidson gave us $200 in gift cards. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective gave us $500 in gift cards. We've got a bunch of Harley merchandise. We've got a bunch of backpacks and shirts and Dixon flannel, a couple other things. And we're going to do some raffles and some silent auction stuff. I'm trying to work on some power tools and stuff from my day job. So do me a favor, get involved in this thing. It's going to be super fun. Again, that's June 19th. It's a Saturday, and we're hoping for good weather. It's going to go rain or shine, so if you want to show up and hang out, if you got a car, you want to join us, you want to meet us at each spot, talk shit, get in on some of these raffles, man. It'd be fantastic. Again, $20 per person, per rider, I'm sorry, and per driver. They take donations. We're going to get a GoFundMe. This is actually a benefit also for the Tanner Young family. Tanner Young is an 18-year-old friend of mine, my friend's son, Tanner Young, got cancer last September, and the kid's 18 years old. You know what I mean? In the prime of his life, fighting cancer right now. Went through a bunch of chemo, had a rough go of it. He's got a rare form of brain cancer called I don't even. I'm not even gonna butcher that shit because I'm notorious for that. But if you want to support it, man, please do that. It's for a fantastic cause. That's Saturday, June 19th. Meet us at Park Place at 10 a.m. We're going to get up on the road at noon. So thank you very much for sticking around through all my reads and everything like that. And welcome to the show. Nate Matanich is my guest tonight. Nate is from Disciples of the Watch podcast, motorcycle enthusiast. Just moved out to Colorado. So he's been doing some remote podcasts. How's that going, Nate? How you been, man? What's going on? What's happening?
A lot's changed, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. Moved out here. Definitely was unexpected. But got a job promotion, and me and the wife decided we wanted to come down here, so we did it, and it all just happened really fast.
Yeah, it did. I was like, you were kind of talking about it, like it could possibly happen, and you're like, yeah, I really haven't told very many people because I'm not sure exactly if it's going to go through, and then poof, you were gone.
Yeah, it just happened. Yeah, it's like, the former person running the place down here was no longer with the company, and so I had just sent an email to my boss, kind of just joking, like, hey, do you need someone to come down there and run that place, And he replied back and said, actually, there's going to be a sales position open, for real, and I had previously asked for a sales position. So, that's how it all happened.
So
man.
what do you do actually, man? What do you sell? What are you,
Well, I work for a company that does, we manufacture flexible foam products.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of packaging, but a lot of different stuff, but primarily packaging down here in Colorado, in the Denver area, Front Range area.
Nice.
And, so I was a designer for the company for many years, and I started there as a temp straight out of prison. So
yeah,
I worked my way up, as a line supervisor, and I was in engineering. I was an engineering supervisor, and now I'm in sales, and done some project management and stuff. So I've been there almost 18 years, and it's just been a really awesome company to work for. So.
Yeah, that's always awesome when they take a chance on you. You know what I mean? With a temp service, you never know, man. They could just keep you on and keep you on and keep you on and lead you like, yeah, we're gonna possibly hire you, and then before you know it, you're like, yeah, we're gonna have to send you on your way to the next place. I've had it happen myself a bunch of times. I know how it is, and you know what I mean. Like, I kind of did that too when I got out of jail, man. I went and worked at a screen printing place, and actually a couple of different ones. But it was cool that they even gave me a shot. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Being in my old lifestyle, you know what I mean, just kind of free flowing, drug dealing and running, being crazy, man. It was like I still had that mentality, so I really didn't, you know what I mean? I couldn't hunker down and get into the whole work thing, man. I know how that is, man, So now how long did you live in Minnesota?
My whole life.
Okay.
Yep, never lived anywhere else.
And you just took the opportunity and ran, and what you got to be right around my age too, right? What, in your 40s?
Yeah, 46. I'll be 47, I believe, this summer.
I mean, it must have just felt like the right time and the right thing to do to get out of town,
Yeah.
Dude,
it's awesome out here.
All your photos that you've been taking, man, are just this amazing scenery everywhere, dude. I mean, I know when you took the shot of you looking out on that, like on this cliff, and you're looking over an entire city. You know what I'm saying? Like, I showed that to my wife, and I was like, I need that in my life right there. I need to get the fuck out of here,
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes from my house. And that was overlooking the city of Golden, and that's where the Coors Brewery is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's pretty amazing up there, man. But that stuff's really close to my house. And so we take advantage of it. Leslie and I were constantly hitting the trails. And now we found a couple places to kayak, so we're getting out kayaking too. And out here, pretty much everywhere you go, you just have a clear shot of the mountains. But then you get on some roads and it's like breathtaking. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
fucking amazing. So, uh, yeah, I feel very blessed. I mean, I'm so full of gratitude. You know, my company helped me get here as well, supported me in coming out here and stuff. So, you know, and I'm loving the job. It's, you know, I'm, I'm really kind of an introverted person, as you know.
Yeah.
And so this is a big stretch for me. But um, being in the club for the years that I was in there really had a huge impact on me coming out of my shell. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that really, I owe a lot to that part of my life as well, for me even being able to feel like I could do this. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Well,
So,
when I met you, man, you know, you had, you know, told me that you had done some time in jail and stuff like that, and just kind of, you know, you didn't really you know, didn't go into it too much, and I didn't pry. I know how, you know, I know how people can be kind of secretive about that stuff, and it's kind of stuff that you want to like put in your past and shit. You know what I mean? Like just move away from it. Now. You kind of, I mean, how did you end up getting hooked up in the club? Like, did you just run into some catch? Did you know any of them guys to begin with? Was it something? I mean, you were always riding motorcycle. I mean, since I met you, you were always riding motorcycle.
yeah. So, you know, when I first got out of prison, I just laid really low with, as far as I just had some friends I hung out with, and you know, I've been with Leslie most of that time, and I didn't really get out and do much. I got a motorcycle. I started to go to Northeast Custom Cycle, and Pat, who's the owner, he's a club member, and super cool, solid guy, and talked to me a lot. And you know, I was completely sober at the time, and so I had somewhat of a concern about maybe if I was in a club and, you know, I was maybe exposed to certain things, I may have temptations or whatever. So I ended up seeking out a sober club, which was called the Freeman at the time.
Yep,
And,
I know those guys.
yeah, and so I got hooked up with them, and ended up becoming a member of that club. And there was just some problems in there, and I had a strong sense that I needed to get out. And I was only a patch member like 6 months there. You know, we had like a wave of members just left all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of like shady backstabbery type shit going on.
Oh man.
So I split, and I went to the Themadons. You know, one of my brothers who was a Freeman put me in touch with the president at the time, and I talked to him and said I was interested in the deal. I had told him, you know, because he didn't really know me, I kind of used my time just as a little bit of saying, look, you know, I haven't been around the club scene a really long time, but look, you know, I'm not a stranger to the, you know, prison yard politics, whatever. You know?
Right.
And so, you know, I ended up probating for them and became a member, and eventually became vice president. And up until I moved out here, I had to step down, and it's actually been really difficult to be away from it. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you know, before you guys took off, I seen you. You know, you were doing some big runs, man. You were you know, right in the front of the pack, man. You had a bunch of people behind you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
it seemed like you fit really well into that group of folks, man.
well, I mean, yeah, that's my family. You know what I'm saying? That's the deal with the club, is, you know, and that's what I was looking for. It's like I don't warm up to people super easy, so. In that environment, it's like, you know, people joke like, well, I got friends that help me bury a body. And it's like, do you ever really think you'd need that? Probably not. But honestly, just knowing that you would like have that depth of a connection with people, there's just something about it. And I don't know what it is exactly that was that appealing to me, but I really appreciated that brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still brothers with those guys. One of my very closest brothers who passed away, Boots.
I met him.
He always used to say, "We'd be brothers even if we weren't wearing these patches." You know?
Right.
And that's true. You develop an actual brotherhood with certain brothers, and I'm still very close with those guys.
Right. Yeah, you That was he was one of the first guys that you had brought down to Lee's when I started booking there. You were like, "Hey man, I'll make it down," and then you were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna bring my brother Boots with me," and dude, he was one of those cats that, if he liked you, you know what I mean? If he liked you, you liked him right away. Because that dude was charismatic as a motherfucker, man. He came in, shook your hand like a man, and he was cool as shit, man. I was happy to meet him, man. And you seemed very, very comfortable and confident to have that dude around you too. You know what I mean? And I know, like you said, you said in the beginning, you're kind of an introverted cat. You're no stranger to that type of stuff, man. And when you make a bond with somebody like that, man, and you could feel that shit. You know what I'm saying? So. When he did pass, man, that was something that kind of kicked me too, because it was, I didn't know him well, but he had come down there a couple times. He'd come down to Lee's, and he was always really cool, man. Always willing to talk to me, and I appreciate that about people, man. When they make an effort, like, hey, this is my friend Greg, and they like, okay, you're friends with him, I'm friends with him, we can all be friends. You know what I'm saying? That's cool shit, man.
Yeah, he's totally like that, and I think it was his brother at his funeral who said that. He really kind of made everybody feel like you were his best friend. You know what I mean? He was, if you were close with him, he really, he was very, very fortunate to have him as a brother.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, now how long did it take you, to get, back into the podcast after kind of being away? Because I know that's a whole transition now. For people that don't know, Nate is one of the hosts of Disciples of the Wash podcast, another local metal based podcast here in the Twin Cities, started by Nate himself and Gene Vogel, and they cover a gambit of music news. They talk about, every style of music. You guys really, run the gambit on music, from old rock and roll to the heaviest of metal. So, it's a fantastic show. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the Disciples of the Watch podcast, dotwpod.com. Check those guys out. Let me see here. We got Adam D is in the house again every week. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you joining with us. It says, Nate, you don't look over 34, he said. And he said, I still don't look over 38. I don't know what you've been smoking, Adam, or if you got your glasses knocked off or something, but I'm an old ass looking man. So, Adam wanted to know, when did you get your first bike, and also what kind of motorcycle was it?
My first bike was a 2006 Street Bob Harley Davidson. It was the first year that it came out.
Nice.
I ordered it in advance, like in 2005, and it was like delivered. I rode it that winter. Anytime the roads were dry, I was out riding that thing.
Right when you got it, huh?
Yeah, right away.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't wait.
Which Harley? Which shop did you go order it at?
That was at Blaine.
Blaine Harley. Oh, right on.
Yeah. And my current bike I have now, it's a Street Bob. It's a 2015. I bought it at the same place.
No shit.
Yeah.
Now you tricked this one out pretty good though, didn't you?
A lot of it came already that way.
Okay.
So when I seen it, I was at my wit's end with my Road King, because it was like a 97, and that thing was like, every time I rode it, I had to work on it.
Oh.
And I was just tired of it. So I went online and I seen that one, and it was like, it was set up how I like it pretty much, you know? So I bought it, and then I've done some stuff. I put a little bit of a fairing, because when you're doing a lot of miles at high speeds, that wind on your chest with ape hangers, that shit'll wear your ass out.
Yeah, it does.
So just having that little bullet fairing, that made like, you could ride one-handed 90 miles an hour without no trouble at all,
No shit, huh?
Yeah. So I did, I put a sissy bar on there because Leslie likes to have a little bit of something to lean into. But I did the old chopper style look because I just like that style,
Yeah. And now when you were riding your Road King, you had a Sporty before that too?
Yeah, that's what kind of got me back in. I had my first Harley. I had it on payments, and when the economy kind of tanked in like 2008 or 9, I couldn't really keep up on the payments, so I sold it. And I paid off the loan, and I didn't ride for a few years. And a friend of mine had a Sportster for sale, 1200 Oh, excuse me. And he sold to me for like $2,500 or something
Damn.
ridiculous, you know. And of course, right away I put like drag pipes on it and drag bars, and I tried to do some different stuff to it because it was totally stocked out, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a Sportster, and I have to do something with it. But I actually still have it. I kind of gave it to a brother, but I gave it to a brother, and I hope he finishes the shit. And it's all chopped now. It's all hardtail. It's stretched out. It's had 4 inches in the back, and the seat's been dropped 4 inches. I got, like a 12 over Springer for it. It'd be a really cool sporty.
Right.
But when I moved down here, I just don't have the room for it. We have a 1-car garage, and you get your garage and 1 assigned spot, and that's it. So I have to fit 2 motorcycles in my garage, and I haven't brought my blue bike down here yet, which is a 95 wide glide.
Right.
But I think I can fit it in the garage. So I've been here long enough to feel it out.
You stacking them in there like fucking sardines, man.
Yeah, but Leslie just got a real estate license.
Yeah.
And she's gonna start working here and doing that. And so when she kind of gets rolling on that, eventually we're gonna just get a regular house out here. But man, it is so expensive to live out here.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, it's fucking crazy. But there's differences that kind of offset it, as far as like property taxes are really low out here, and your state income taxes is quite a bit lower than Minnesota, so you get more of your paycheck. So there's differences like that, but car insurance like doubled or more.
No shit.
With less coverage, because there's bizarre shit like freak hailstorms out here that totally will just devastate your car.
Yeah. Like
this winter, there's been like 85-mile-an-hour winds out here.
Damn.
It's like hurricane winds. You know what I'm saying? It's intense, but you're up in that. It's a mile above sea level or whatever. It's up in the mountains. So it's really different out here. And because this is the high desert, it's extremely dry out here.
Yeah.
So my windshield is already just devastated. There's a crack all the way across it. So I had to buy extra insurance now, so I only have $100 glass insurance, because like in Minnesota, when you get insurance, it's just automatically they cover your glass.
Right.
Well, they don't out here, because you got to replace your windshield about once a year. You don't think about this shit when you move out to somewhere like here, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's really dry, so there's no mosquitoes. So I'm gonna be able to sit on my porch at sunset here when it's nice out and not be getting chewed up,
Yeah. That's got to be amazing. Now I know you love the outdoors. You and your wife love the outdoors. You guys like to get out, and I suppose you guys do that nonstop.
Yeah. Mostly on the weekends. I live an hour away from work.
Yeah.
We couldn't really find a place that we really wanted that was closer, so I just said fuck it, and so it's like 11 hours a day I'm gone.
Yeah.
So I come home and we pretty much just chill during the week, but on the weekends, man, as much as we can, we're out doing what we can. Yeah.
So with the drive, how's the traffic in it now? Are you driving into Denver too now?
No, where I work is an hour. It's like 45 minutes north of Denver. Okay. I'm a little bit south of Denver and west, and I'm in Lakewood, and it's like a first ring suburb, but the suburbs out here are huge. Like Lakewood is huge and Golden is huge. It's like really big suburbs out here.
Yeah. What would it be compared to, like, say you would take a couple suburban places and put them together? What would you compare it to?
I mean, it'd be like, I don't know. It'd probably be a few, I don't know, like Richfield, Bloomington, Egan.
Damn, all of those together?
Egan's pretty big, by itself. So, yeah, they're pretty big, man.
Holy shit. Now is it like, do they have a lot of, I mean, it's kind of like the green rush out there. It's been like that for a few years. That's got to be why everything is skyrocketed in price, right? Because everybody wants to come out there, and it's got to be just a ridiculous tour destination too.
Yeah, it is now. People tell me a lot. Like, you see all these like native Colorado bumper stickers out here. Like, people from Colorado out here are really fucking proud they're from here, because about 10 years ago, masses of people just started moving in here, and a lot of it was because of the cannabis legalization. But there's been some other industries that have kind of come up out here too. So, and then lately, tons of people are moving here from like Minnesota, Texas, California. Like people are fleeing California because it's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
And they're coming here, you know. So things are very expensive, and it's very, very hard to get a house here. Like people are paying ridiculous amounts more over. So, but the cannabis, I got to talk about that because coming from a legal state or illegal state, and always growing up with it being a taboo thing and kind of thing that you know, losers do or whatever. It's really weird that it's part of the culture out here.
Yeah.
And it's really part of the culture out here to where it's like, it's really not like, it's not weird in any kind of way like you might think it would be. It's weird for me because it was just illegal for me 6 months ago.
Right.
And like, you think you would see people blazing everywhere, and you literally don't smell it anywhere. I very, very rarely see people actually blazing up in public out here.
No shit.
Yeah, and like if you get into the inner city, you do more. Like when you get into Denver, you'll smell it more. And there's like the transients out here are crazy. It's huge, and there's a lot of like a dark side of the drug scene out here, like heroin and stuff. There's a main drag like called Colfax out here. It's kind of like Lake Street, I guess, is what I would kind of compare it to.
Sure.
But you get towards the east end of Colfax, and it's pretty seedy. And one of my brothers came out here with me when I first moved out here and stayed out here with me a few days, and we were cruising up and down Colfax at night. And, you know, people were just nodding out in the streets on heroin, you know, just on the sidewalks. And it's just, I didn't really see that in Minneapolis too. And I know some of that existed out there. And I lived right in Minneapolis, and I spent plenty of time even in North Minneapolis, and I just didn't really see a lot of that right out in fucking front of Walgreens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's different. But I got my medical card out here, and so sometimes I potentially could have somebody from work listening in on this, and it's really not a big deal out here, but I try to keep stuff like that private. And so I'm just, if anybody from work is listening to this, I appreciate your
discretion. Yeah.
I got my medical card, and I don't like to say I use it as a crutch because I just do enjoy smoking as well. But I got my medical for PTSD, and I haven't really let any kind of stuff cripple me in life. I've really been fortunate to be able to just continue to move forward in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And but I get this ridiculous anxiety about stuff sometimes, and I get so much chatter in my head. And I'm a meditator. I'm a trained meditation teacher. I'm a trained yoga teacher. I've been yogi for been meditating for 20 years. So I really do a lot to take care of myself that way, to stay mentally healthy and not just fall into the trap of having to be on pharmaceuticals and things like that.
Right.
But smoking weed, it really takes the edge off, man. It really does,
Mm-hmm.
And I use it responsibly as an adult, and I'm high functioning at my job, and I have a professional job. And it's weird. My very first fucking sales meeting out here was with a cannabis packaging company. And I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the dispensary right after work. I can't wait. And I'm going to use a company card. I'm going to buy some weed. And he's just carrying on like it was no big deal. And I'm just like,
Can I come with you?
Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But, honestly, in Minnesota, I would puff in my car, and stuff like that. And I absolutely will not smoke and drive out here because it's not really smart, for one thing, but they test for you out here. They look for it out here.
Yeah.
And if you ride your motorcycle through Minneapolis, every other car smells like they're smoking pot in their car.
Yeah.
That's not out like that out here, and it's totally legal. I mean, there's a fucking dispensary on every corner out here. But for you guys, anybody that's listening that puffs, that doesn't have the access, to the dispensaries and stuff, it's fucking crazy. It's like I go to a very small medical dispensary, and the way it works out here is you get your medical card, and then you become a member at a dispensary, and then they're registered as your certified grower. So I go to a really small one because it's like 2 minutes from my house, but I was just there tonight and I was looking at concentrates, and they have like 20 different kind, waxes, live rosins, shatters, and they're like $20. And if you're a member, you can get like 20% off of that. But if you go to like a recreational dispensary, you get the full taxation there.
Right.
And then you're paying like $80 for that amount of wax, or maybe 60, or it's quite a bit more. But I can get like an ounce of 30% or THC weed for $130 out the door.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? On the medical card. It's not that, it's more like 260 or all the way up to 300 or more if you're doing in a recreational dispensary.
Oh, wow.
But I just really I'm old school with it, other than I just like to smoke joints, or I really like blunts. I like putting the backwoods wrapper around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Well, you used to smoke a lot of cigars too, so
that's I quit those. But I had one day and just didn't care for it anymore and put it down, and never touched one since.
Now we talked about this before we started with the show. Now you were saying with people, alcohol users, man, you know what I mean? Like, it's so demonized here in a legal state where we can't, you know what I mean? We have medical here, but you can't grow, you can't have your own. You've got to have, concentrates, and you can only have so much, and you have to have your card on you, and you can't have all this stipulations to it.
Really expensive too.
Yeah, really expensive. And as I was growing up, and I like I said, you're in my age group. So with me, like my parents on holidays, and with my grandparents on holidays and birthdays and everything else, everybody was drinking. That was the thing back then. They were, they came from the 40s and 50s, man, and the 60s and shit. And that was the thing, booze, And then my aunts and uncles, they smoked weed, and that's where I saw it for the first time as a kid, but it was always demonized, man. It was always like that, that's something that, like you said, losers do, or people that are, you know what I mean? You're a lazy fucker who just likes to eat Cheetos all day and play video games. You know what I'm saying? Where I know so many people, and you hear nowadays, like, they've got the strains down now. You know what I mean? You get the indicas, the sativas, the hybrids, the things like that, to where they've got it pinpointed to where you could smoke this type of shit during the day, and then when you want to crash out, you do the sativas in the morning, the hybrids in the afternoon, and then the indicas at night, and you sleep like a fucking baby. And when it comes to like alcohol, you said before that we got the show going, like, you have to listen to people come in and say how drunk they got the night before. Yeah. Now you're not an alcohol drinker. So that's got to be kind of a different thing for you.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, And I'll just be honest. My personal opinion, if you want to go home and do cocaine or whatever, I don't really care. Why should it matter? You know what I mean? I actually believe in freedom, and people having freedom. You know what I mean?
Right.
As long as what you're doing isn't somehow affecting somebody else in a negative way, I just don't see what the big deal is. You know what I mean? It's like the demonization itself has created the monster. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And it's just created a whole industry around it as well. And it's made it very profitable for people. So it's just a whole fucked up thing when you could just kind of change the approach. You know what I mean? I'm an adult. I've been around all kinds of different people. I know people who have good jobs and good families that do cocaine and things like that. It's like, I don't. Just for the record, I've had problems with drugs in the past, and I have been actually sober. I was in AA at a period of time and things like that. And I was worried a little bit about when I, first started, doing weed, which I started with edibles first. But it hasn't turned me into a demon, and I haven't spun out of control, and I haven't started doing other drugs, and I still do a really good job. my life has just continued
So,
on.
what you're saying is that weed wasn't a gateway drug for you?
No, when I was young, it was like, and I needed to be away from everything for a long time. I really needed to, because I don't think I would have been able to grow in the same ways, because the things that kind of drove some of those other addictions were, just issues that I just never had dealt with. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's another thing too. It's like, I have anxiety and things like that, and so weed helps with that, and I have to kind of be secretive about it and all that stuff. But people have back pains and shit, and they're on fucking high grade opiates and shit like that, and but I have to be secretive about smoking weed for anxiety, and then on top of it, even having anxiety, like, it's okay to have back spasms and fucking back pain and knee pain and complain about being fucking with this and that and the other thing. But, if you have problems with depression and anxiety and things like that, you have to just drag your fucking ass through life. And actually, in some ways, I appreciate that, because somehow we're living in a society where a lot of people just try to use their issues as a crutch. You know what I'm saying? And I just keep moving fucking forward. But it is a fucking problem, you know what I'm saying? And for people who have a problem with that stuff, like myself, it happens a lot. It's not like once a year in the spring I get the blues a little bit. It's like, once a month or something like that. You know what I mean? For my, most of my adult life, So it's just weird that we live in a society this way, and it's just people fabricated lies about things. Like, if you go to Jamaica, and Jamaicans have suffered greatly in this drug war with weed, especially. I mean, especially like the Rastas and stuff have had people killed by the police and everything over it, and they approach it more as like a spiritual thing, as a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And not to romanticize it, but other cultures have done the same thing. You know what I mean? And there is something to it. And there, as a yogi, I understand that when you can still your mind, you know what I mean, you access a much deeper aspect of yourself that's beyond all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I don't use weed as a crutch to access that, because I meditate every day as well, and I do yoga and other things like that. But having anxiety with all that background chatter all the fucking time, it's just nice to just puff a little bit and just calm the fuck down, And music just sounds so awesome. But back to Jamaica. So I got married there last March, and our bellhop was this Rasta guy, and I found out he was a Rasta not because we were talking about weed, but because we were talking about vegetarianism. And so we were talking about it, and he brought us out some champagne. Well, Leslie and I don't drink, so I said, but I might like some ganja, And he says, oh yeah, I got your medicine, man. So we get up to my room, and he's got it all wrapped really tight in his duct tape, and he undoes it, and it looks like so pressed in there. It looked like the old brickweed from back in the old days, And he tried to kind of charge me more, but I went there knowing that it was actually going to be less, so I kind of negotiated down. It ended up being the best weed I smoked there. But anyways, this is the first time in my life where I've actually smoked like really good sativa weed. You know what I mean? Where you just feel like lifted, just very enlightened. And I'm laying on the beach in Jamaica. I love reggae music, man. And there's a reggae bar right behind us in the resort we're in. And they're playing even these dub tunes from King Tubby and stuff like that. I'm just like, that changed my whole life, being in Jamaica that week. And that level of relaxation. And then, Leslie and I we had a Jyotish who is, they're like an Eastern astrologer, much more sophisticated than like your typical Western astrologer, fortune teller, whatever.
Sure.
And so we told her that we wanted to get married in Jamaica, and she had already, done our charts before. So she had all our stuff, and she helped us pick a date, and down to the time. So when we set our vows, it was down to a specific 20-minute window. And she had these couple ritual things that we had us do early in the morning. And it has been life-changing, So
I can imagine, man. I've always wanted to go to Jamaica.
honestly.
I've always wanted to go to experience that.
Yeah, it's awesome out there, man. But it's really wild. So like 15 feet up from the ocean is like kind of like public, okay? So none of the resorts can claim that. So you can walk like up and down the beach. And so they have these hustlers down there every day walking up and down, and they sell cigarettes and cigars and pot brownies and psilocybin mushrooms, cocaine, weed. They're just announcing it out in open, walking up and down the beach, you know. And we were in a pretty classy resort that the security would actually like. So like I got some brownies from a lady the very first day we're there, and I'm about to pay her, and the security guard comes up, and I thought it was a cop at first, and so I kind of like froze because it's not legal there really, you know. And anyways, he said it's okay, but what he was actually was there was to make sure she wasn't harassing me.
Oh, okay.
If you go to some of the cheaper resorts down the way and you kind of walk, you'll see those guys will just stand there and fucking harass people. Like they'll just stand there. You're trying to soak in the sun, and they'll just stand right in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was nice that we actually had security that would just shoo them guys away if they got too pestery.
I've always heard that it's really tourist orientated, where the tourists don't get messed with too much if they're looking for medicine or they're doing anything like that, but the locals are the ones that get harassed quite a bit.
Yeah, that's totally true. And like on the resort, like I just laid right in the public area of the beach, and there's no kids, by the way. This is an adults only. It's a couples only actually resort. And I was blazing big old Bob Marley's right in front of the security, and they really don't. They really pamper to tourists there, like in a way that you wouldn't even expect. You know what I'm saying? Like I spilled some like crumbs on the floor at the airport, and this guy was sweeping it up, and I apologized, because I'm not trying to make a mess, Yeah. And he's like, "Oh man, you're in Jamaica, man. No problem, man.
Yeah.
Relax, It's like they're just like no problem. They just make you feel so at ease, and being so anxious, having that depth of relaxation, just like it chilled me to a whole new level, man.
Yeah.
And made my love of reggae music probably like quadruple.
I've always loved reggae. It's something that inspires me to want to go back to my Rasta thoughts. You know what I mean? I know. Yeah. When I was younger, playing in the bands and stuff, I had really no fear. I had no anxiety. I had no real that I could think of. I got depressed here and there, but I thought that was more the drugs I was doing because, I dabbled in doing a lot. I did a lot of blow, and I drank a lot. And it was something that, like, I tried to stay away from because my family, a lot of my family drank a ton. So it was like it turned me off to it. You know what I'm saying? But with getting into the, weed was the thing that I got into right away, and then I started getting into blow, and like I said, I with the band and with that type of stuff, it never affected me like that. I would get depressed, whatever, but. As I got older, dude, when I got out of jail in 2005, I mean, it was like we were, in 2004, we were doing shows and going around and doing all this cool shit. I noticed there was a change when I got out, you know what I mean? When I cleared my head, when I got myself into trouble, it was over some drugs shit. And then, I put myself into treatment and tried to like really clean myself out and stop smoking weed, and I stopped doing blow, and you know what I mean? Like I was trying to stop doing the heavy shit. I was trying to stop drinking, and it was like I'd stop doing coke, but then I'd start drinking a little bit more, you know what I mean, to kind of fill the glass up per se. But I noticed that once I started drinking, I'd get to a point and then I'd want to go do blow to kind of straighten myself out. It was like this gas and flame thing, you know what I'm saying? But after I cleared my head for, a couple years, I started to get really bad anxiety and like social anxiety, shit that I'd never felt before, man, where the first person I ever thought, or the first person I'd ever heard express this about weed was Joe Rogan. And it sounds kind of cliche now being a podcaster, and like one of the main reasons that I got into podcasting was Joe Rogan and his format and, like having a good conversation with someone. So like getting paranoid when you're smoking weed was like, I'd always thought about, your mind is telling you these are the things you need to work on, you know, and Rogan says that quite a bit, is that it's like your mind calling out to you like, hey man, you're getting noited out because of this or this situation. This is something that you really need to focus on. Like subconsciously, you got to take that in consciously. You know what I mean? Like I always hear people say that I can't smoke weed because I get anxious. I get nervous about this shit. And I understand, but they don't understand that's their mind telling them that, hey man, this is some fucked up shit in your life you need to focus on a little bit more. You know, you need to like really kind of take that in and breathe it in, you know? I started getting really fucking anxious after all the drugs, after everything, and I just kind of settled down, and even to the point where I'd be doing shows and you know, I always got nervous before I'd get on stage, but it started getting nerves like talking to people before the show. Like I would get so anxious that I would get kind of irritated by the people that I'm talking to, you know what I mean? Like friends, like fans, like people that I want, you know, that I really do want to talk to. But at the same time, man, it was like an agitation inside of me, man, that just, you know, my mind, like you said, it would chatter and I just couldn't put it out, you know what I mean? And, you know, after, you know, many years, I went back and started smoking. Like, this is a funny story because a friend of mine grew some kush that he had got. He got some seeds from somewhere in the Middle East. He got this kush and he grew some kush, and I was on paper. I was, you know what I mean? I was doing drug tests. I had all this shit, and I was working, and, you know, they tested me and all that. So I didn't fuck around. But he gave me this nugget, man, and it was like just you know, the size of a quarter maybe, you know? And he goes, this is really fucking good pot, you know, whatever. And you hear that from everybody. Everybody says their pot's the best, whatever, whatnot. But he was like, I grew this, man. I know what's in this. I know what I did to this. This is some of the best pot I've ever had in my life, you know? And funny thing is that like a week before I was off paper, you know what I mean? Like I knew that, well, I knew that they were going to take me off of supervised probation shit. So they weren't going to, it was going to be more of a random situation than a guy coming to my house every week to walk me into the bathroom to stand over my shoulder to watch me fucking hold my dick. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I smoked this fucking little nugget at band practice of songs that I had been playing for years and stuff that I had written, these poems, these lyrics, you know? And it just fucking put the brakes on, bro. Like, skirt. I went into panic mode and just was like, I don't know these lyrics. I'm asking my guys as we're playing, like, what do I say here? And literally the band just stops and goes, dude, what's going on with you? And I was like, oh man, I haven't smoked in, you know, 2 years or 2.5 years or whatever. And I smoked before practice, and they're just laughing at me and making fun of me. Anyway, I did start smoking again after that, you know, and it was one of those things that it just, you know, like you said, it, man, it calmed me. It made me relax. It made me, I mean, even, you know, when I've been at this job that I'm at now for 5 years, and, you know, I get tested regularly. So it's like, I can't partake in it. Do I want to? Absolutely. CBD is like one of my things that I do all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it just feels like, it sucks, man, to be in a place where it's demonized, you know, and I have guys that I work with that's what they talk about all the time, is that, you know, they get fucking trashed, and it's like this pride badge they wear on their shirt. Man, I drank like 36 beers this weekend, or, you know, last night, you know, there's a young guy that I work with that, you know, drinks a liter of tequila, you know, 2 nights. You know what I'm saying? That's insane to me, you know, where you get shit on for smoking a joint, or, you know what I mean, rolling up some hash or whatever, man. It's sad. It's fucking sad, dude.
You know, and probably far more people than we even think smoke, you know what I mean? I think it's far more common than even people even realize, which makes it even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it has to be this secretive fucking thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the fucking weird shit people are fucking into in this world, and you have to be secretive about smoking weed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, you know? And it's a whole insidious thing because, you know, the government started this whole war on drugs for whatever purposes they had in mind with this stuff. And I have whole conspiracy theories behind that, if you want to call it that. But there's a lot of fact behind a lot of the crooked shit that the government's done around drugs and things. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Just lost it just like that.
That's fantastic. That's why they want to demonize
it. So they don't want you doing drugs, okay? But they want to really criminalize it. They really want to fuck with you on it. So then they make insurance companies make your job test to have insurance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which then means for you to work, you can't do that thing. It's like, why is it that fucking important to them to not let you do that thing? You know what I'm saying? It's like alcohol has been proven to be way worse. Yeah. I mean, it's, in any fucking way. You abuse alcohol, you can die from that shit.
Yeah.
I used to go to meetings in the fucking detoxes and stuff. Like, people like can die from that from seizures and shit from just quitting cold turkey and stuff. And like, I mean, you can't even overdose on weed. Right. You know what I mean? You can't even overdose on it. You know what
they say? I think there was a statistic. I think it was like a full bale of marijuana to like in a specific amount of time, like it could kill you. But the fact of the matter is, you could never take that much in at the you know, I mean, at one particular time.
The common amount that somebody's doing is like, it's not a big deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So it's just, it's becoming legal in more and more states, and you'll see if it becomes legal in Minnesota, you'll see, in time, it'll just become part of the culture, and it's not weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not a big deal out here. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of my hangups about it are just still rooted in the fact that you get arrested and go to jail for it still. You know, in Minneapolis, they kind of decriminalized it and weren't going for it, but I think it's still a felony if you get pinched with a concentrate. A felony for a concentrate of weed. You know what I mean? It's like, the weed out here is 30% THC and the wax is like 68. You know, it's not like, it's not like, I mean, the weed is getting up there. So, anyways, and people who have been locked up for it and stuff should be released.
Oh, for
the fact that people are making millions of dollars off this industry now and people are still in jail for it is fucking sick too.
Well, and the government's making a shitload of money off of the taxation of it too. You know what I mean? That's the crazy thing, is that you see state by state by state are jumping on board with this thing. I mean, when Colorado, went legal and recreational, you know what I'm saying? They made millions and millions and millions on, and for drug education, for their schools, for, their roads and their construction and all of this shit, all of that stuff. And like you said, with the card itself, it brings you down. You're a member of this, dispensary. It brings down your cost. But the people like, the friends that we know that have come into town, to enjoy themselves, to relax in a hostel or a Airbnb that is all surrounded by, you know what I mean? And the theme of it is cannabis, you know what I mean? And people, I know people that go to Red Rocks, or did, before COVID and everything, to go see shows. They'd go to a dispensary, they'd get more than they needed for the entire weekend that they were there, and just basically leave it for the people in the hotel. You know what I'm saying? Like, it boggles my mind. You know what I mean? It boggles my mind that, somebody could go to work, right, and maybe working with a power tool, you know what I mean? I know guys that have gone to work drunk, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've told me they've been drinking at work, you know what I'm saying? And these are construction guys. If one of those guys, I've honestly heard a story about some guys trimming a building, that another construction worker kind of ratted these dudes out, saying, "Hey man, I stumbled on these two guys doing blow in one of the fucking units." And he's a manager, dude. He walks up and he's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" He's like, "Getting the job done. You want some?" You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody got hurt and somebody got tested, you know what I mean? If somebody got hurt or you hurt yourself, by all means, test the motherfucker. You know what I mean? You're driving and you get into an accident, test them. but there's got to be like you know what I mean? Like if you're doing it every day, if the dude did it an hour ago, you know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be some sort of scale to keep people, you know, in check as far as that goes. Like you said, man, I can't even imagine. I bet you the weed that we were smoking when we were kids was probably 10%. You know what I'm saying? And they're at 30 nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's potent.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing about weed, and you know, like, you know, once you kind of build up a tolerance to it, you do kind of plateau at some point. So, like, even if you're smoking like a blunt by yourself, for instance, you have a tolerance. You know what I mean? You get high to a certain point, but then at that point, the rest of it, you're just kind of maintaining it. It's not like you continually get higher and higher and higher. You know what I'm saying? Even with dabs or anything, any form of it.
Yeah.
At some point, you know, you just balance it out.
Yeah.
Or you plateau. Sorry, got distracted for a second.
No, that's okay. Let me see here. We got Jared Singer of the Jared Singer Extravaganza in the chat room with us. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Sorry about the podcast tomorrow, man, and not going to be able to make it. Doing a podcast on Friday evenings and then having family shit on the weekends. My wife kind of put the kibosh on that, man, you know. And Dan Extreme, Dan is one of the guys that I just he's a tattoo artist in Rhode Island that I just did a podcast with. Thank you, dude, for joining us. Andrea Mitchell has joined me a couple times in the last couple weekends. I appreciate you joining us. Tara Netzinger joined us as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We're hanging here talking about marijuana prohibition and all the bullshit. And Nate's in Colorado enjoying the wares around town. And so I asked you a question earlier, and we kind of went off on our tangent here, which is fantastic. But how was the podcast and getting back to the podcast? Now with that separating you guys, you were kind of steamrolling along and doing regular podcasts and things like that, and kind of put things on hold for a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, well, before I left, you know, we planned on trying to do it remotely. So at some point, you know, we planned on it. So, you know, took some time to get here and kind of get settled in and kind of get started with my job. And then we started again. It's a little awkward. My setup isn't ideal. Like when I speak into my microphone, there's a delay to my headphones. So I have to keep one earphone off so I can actually like hear myself talk normal. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise I feel like my words are dragging and stuff. It's really weird.
Yeah. It's you got to get yourself a mix minus. You got to be able to break that chain so it doesn't give you that delayed. It basically won't let you hear yourself, but it'll let them hear it.
I got this Tascam recorder that Gene has used before that I can run through that to my computer, and it works like a compressor and things like that, but I haven't figured out how to use it. And so I'm going to try that, but it's getting a lot more comfortable. I think we're kind of catching our stride with it again. And so it's fun though. It's fun to keep up. And, you know, I like talking about music and just catching up.
Hell yeah. How many episodes you guys running nowadays?
We're trying to do every other week, but often I end up having to bump it out. And so it's like maybe like once a month. We've done like 3 shows, I think, since I've been out here.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice to kind of just get on more of a routine, but I know Gene's schedule too. He's got a new job, and it's he's working longer hours, and you know, having to just come home and just come directly into the podcast, you know, you can do it, but it's more fun when you're just chill and ready to do it. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I had to take a break for myself. I was doing, you know, I mean, you guys started roughly around the same time I did too, you know, and it'd been, I mean, I had been doing it a little bit longer, but, you know, when I started, I was doing multiple fucking shows, 3 hours a show. You know what I mean? Like I tried to jam in as many as I possibly could because I just fell in love with doing it, you know, but it was like I did get a burnout. You know what I mean? I never thought that I would ever get burnt out, but I started doing the things at Lee's and kind of, you know, spread myself pretty thin. And I found myself like not enjoying it as much. You know what I mean? Like you said, you get done with work and you really want to unwind. You want to spend time with your loved ones. You want to like chill and relax a little bit, and then having to go into a studio and do, I mean, even on Friday nights, it's a little difficult. Like I said earlier, man, you know, we just got our first like, you know, bit of sunshine for the first time in like 2 weeks today. And it just inched its way up to about 60. And man, I was just like, I better call Nate. You know, like, Nate, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to go for a ride. You know what I'm saying? But I know how it can be. You know what I mean? It's a little difficult, and you want to make it fun. You want to make it, and I love and I want to do some old school podcasts where I had a lot of music involved in it too.
Yeah.
With
Those are
the
awesome shows.
yeah, man, you know, with the audio only, you know, that's the benefit of it, is that you can really run all the music you want without getting hit with these trademark infringements and you know what I mean? You do this shit on YouTube or you do it on Facebook and you're getting, you know, muted because they don't want you. You know, if my numbers ain't at 1,000 and I'm not monetized, it shouldn't be a fucking problem, because basically what I'm doing is trying to get other people to hear good music or turn people onto that good music. You know what I'm saying? You guys are the same way, you know?
Yeah, and it's not like we don't collect money for playing the music. It's like hanging out in the fucking bedroom with your buddies talking about music and listening to records. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, I mean, that's what interested me about doing the podcast with Gene in the first place, is just, you know, being able to nerd out on music. You know what I'm saying? And it's just weird with that how they are, but it's greed. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like it's the artists that are the ones coming after that. It's the companies that own the rights to that stuff. So, you know, the musicians are just traditionally always get fucked, and the executives just traditionally get fat. You know what I'm saying?
Line their fucking pockets.
And that's what this is all about too. You know what I mean? And they probably don't like that they don't have control over the content that's talked about on podcasts or any of that stuff. So they want to find ways to fucking stick it to people just trying to be free and do their own fucking thing. You know?
Yeah, do you remember when we first started podcasting? I know you guys are right around that same time when Adam Carolla and the podcasters had to like come together and get a lawyer, and they had, you know, they were soliciting people for the GoFundMe to help them, you know, supply a lawyer, which seems funny to me that rich people want to solicit other podcasters and people who listen, you know, they're listeners to I mean, it just kind of seems funny when you're rich already, but you want other people to pay for your lawyer to help you do the thing that you do to make money to make you rich. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just that corporate kerfuffle that's all fucking goofy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but what it was is they figured out that the numbering system of podcasts and how you sequentially put it, they were suing what was it, like iTunes, and they were suing all the fucking podcasters, all the main podcasters, Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla, like all the big ones got these cease and desist orders because because of the way they sequentially put their episodes. And that was fucking copywritten by some guy who found it to be out of trademark or out of some kind of thing like that. And I don't remember the story exactly, but man, it's just so crazy that you know, people want to take control of it. They want the monetary part of it, or they're concerned about. To me, I mean, dude, I'm in touch with a ton of labels that send me a ton of stuff that want me to play their stuff, but I'm afraid to play it because I'm going to get flagged on YouTube now that, you know, we can't really see each other in person. I mean, I've had a couple interviews here in the studio, but you know, it's like, you know, we're doing video right now, and you can't play any fucking music, man, unless it's like, you know, stuff on Bandcamp or you know, somebody wants to send me some stuff that's not licensed, man. And I'm all about playing the stuff, you know, and you guys solicit, you know, unsigned bands and stuff like that, and you guys play that stuff too, right?
Definitely. Could you hold on just a second,
Yeah,
brother?
yeah, go ahead. No problem. So I hope you guys are all doing well. This is a perfect time for me to plug these guys one more time. Do me a favor, if you're looking to get some screen printing done, Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated, custom screen printing. Now, I just want to let you guys know that I'm not making any money off of doing these reads for these guys. These are guys that have helped me in the past with my shows or my merchandise. I've gotten all my T-shirts and stuff through Anti-Broadcasting. They do I get my T-shirts to do my tie-dyes through Anti-Broadcasting. So I really want to help these guys. They've always helped me out. They've always given me a great price. They've always come through for me. They've always when we needed shirts, my band Outside the Murder needed shirts for when we opened for Soulfly. These guys, smashed us out 100 shirts. We ended up selling those shirts before the show even played, and then we had to go back and get another 100 to go and have them at the show. So Anti-Broadcasting, do me a favor, if you're looking to get some, Anti-Broadcasting at Gmail, or hit them up 612-836-9488, and yeah, hit those guys up if you're looking to get some shit done. I would really appreciate it. Tell them I sent you. I'm sure they'll help you out. Yeah, let them know. And then Nate just came back. How are you, Nate?
Good, man. I have this cat. He's just a terror, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially to my other cat who's older.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they were both trapped down here with me, and he was starting to get a little aggressive, so I had to chase him out of here.
Yeah, man, you got to get him some. You got to get him some catnip, man. Lighten him up a little bit.
Yeah, he gets catnip. Hey, there was this. We were talking podcasts, and I was just trying to find the name of it, and I can't find it right now. But I just listened to this one. It was really interesting. This guy, he's like naval intelligence.
Yeah.
And he was on a ship where some UFO footage happened that's now become public here in the recent time. And, this guy, he was just talking about how he was like, he's like a stone cold atheist and a scientist. And, he was like, very, very much like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, he didn't actually see these UFOs, but he was on the ship when the people seen it and videotaped it, and they showed it to him. And, it's kind of classified. He was just he started to have like bizarre experiences. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of abduction of type experiences. And, anyways, where it ends up is that it's this whole spiritual journey for him, and he kind of gets into this philosophy of all things are one consciousness and stuff like that, And it's funny because I look back on my own life, and I've always been highly spiritually interested in stuff, and I've had a wide variety of different avenues I've followed in life, but at some point when I was locked up, I started meditating, and I got involved with the teachings of a guru and follow that whole path, and my path that I follow believes that the basis is all things are one consciousness, you know what I'm saying? And he viewed all these experiences as like these beings, like these extraterrestrials, were like trying to point to him the truth of who we all are, which is this is just one consciousness.
Right.
And so it's like these things were like leading him to read books and all kinds of different shit, but he had some really terrifying experiences and stuff too. And it was just really cool, totally unexpected. I'm thinking I'm just going to hear some UFO abduction story and whatever. And had no idea. And it turned out to be this whole spiritual journey for this guy. And now he tries to kind of help people lead that. And he said something briefly, and I can't really speak to it too specifically, but he kind of talks about how people get stuck in depressions and different things are like, it's like they're stuck on, all of us are on this journey to this realization that we are all this one consciousness. There is actually no difference between us or the chair we're sitting on or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's all made of one thing.
Right.
And so he just is kind of leading people now down this path. And it's very, very interesting.
You can't think of what the name of the podcast is?
Oh, no. I'll try to find it here. I had it on Spotify, and now I can't find it.
All right, so Adam D always comes up with fantastic questions, and Adam said, Mr. Nate, what are your favorite bands? What do you like to listen to? What has inspired you?
My favorite bands? So I've mostly been into metal most of my life. So I like Slayer is probably, they're in the top 5 for sure of all genres of music. I'm a big fan of Pink Floyd, Alice in Chains. Pink Floyd specifically, the psychedelic era now as I've gotten older. I liked it a lot too when I was younger because I did psychedelics, but as I've gotten older, I really liked a lot of the early stuff. Like Live at Pompeii is one of my all-time favorite albums I like to listen to. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I actually saw that that DVD Live at Pompeii flying out of my mind on LSD, and it was one of the most amazing experiences ever to watch them play in the dirt with these gigantic speakers in Pompeii. With the hound blues, the you know what I'm talking about, where they're sitting there and Gilmore's playing the guitar and the dogs just in the background.
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's an awesome album.
Yeah.
I've gotten really back into hip hop too in the last couple of years. Like, so when I liked hip hop like in 1984 and kind of up to like I remember hearing Eazy-E. I remember hearing his album and Easy Does It. And then it's like, you remember back in the day, it's like your friends, you kind of didn't listen to music outside of what your group of friends listened to too much. And I did a little bit, I got really into metal and that's kind of what my friends were into. And so I stopped really listening to hip hop. I missed all of hip hop through the the golden era of the 90s and stuff like that. And pretty much just listened to like metal and punk. And punky. None of my friends really even listened to that even that much. But I started getting back into hip hop like about 5 years ago, and I got there's a lot of just really good stuff there. But like Wu-Tang was one that kind of really grabbed me, and it was not the 36 Chambers. It was Wu-Tang Forever, the double. I got it on vinyl, and I remember I had went away for a meditation retreat. I was like for a week, and I came back and I came home and I rolled a blunt. I hadn't had any weed in that time. And I put that album on, and just hearing it in that state with my mind was so wide open, and just hearing that music in such a wide way, I was fucking instantly hooked. So, I like a lot of different stuff, but I mostly like stuff from the East Coast. And then reggae also has become a huge love of music for me. And I like Bob Marley, but I like Bob Marley with the Wailers the best, though any of his work is just fantastic. But I really like Peter Tosh. He's he was way more political, very spiritual as well. And you got to listen to his song Stepping Razor off the Equal Rights album. It's just just check it out.
Yeah,
it's fucking chill reggae music with a really fucking like I'll fuck you up type lyric. You know what I'm saying? But he was more militant that way.
I bought that record. I have that record. Speaking of records, dude, how is your record collection right now? I know you started right around the same time Gene started, right? Collecting vinyls. I think he was ahead of you a little bit and kind of got you back into it, right?
Yeah, he'd started a while before. I was skeptical of it, and my love of music as soon as I started doing it. And even with my pretty cheap setup, man, it does sound fucking different. It just has a different feel to it, and the experience of listening to record is nice. Putting it on, listening to it. You're not fucking around doing other stuff. You're just gonna sit there and listen to the record. And
it's so deliberate.
Vinyl, but I got to be around 500, I would think, maybe.
Damn.
I still buy records pretty steady every week. I got into some really good jazz records too. A coworker of mine is really into it, and I've never really been able to get into it. And he kind of pointed me into a little bit of a direction.
Yeah.
And when I kind of started to really get the appeal of jazz, then I found some other records that are really fucking stellar.
What'd you start with?
It was like David Brubeck. I can't remember, in the something quartet or something like that. But my favorite right now is Wayne Shorter's Speak No Evil. He was a saxophonist. That one's really good. And I have, I don't know all these guys well enough. Like, it's one of the most famous ones. It's like Kinda Blue, I think is the name of the album.
Miles Davis.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
That's
that one's really fucking
that's
good
got
too.
Cannonball Adderley on it. If you ever want to listen to a really smooth saxophone player, Cannonball Adderley's on that. But he also, who complements him, is John Coltrane, and Coltrane is right at the beginning of his career before he really starts going very experimental beyond that point. Coltrane starts to get into this thing where it is just fucking, he hears Bird for the first time and he's just all over the place with the notes. He's just trying to find that feel like Bird had, and Charlie Parker. So Charlie Parker, it kind of influenced all of those guys. Dude, you know what you should do is you should go on Amazon Prime and look up. There's a jazz documentary on there. I'd have to look it up, but it's got Wynton Marsalis on there. That's actually one of the historians of all this stuff. And they talk about these horn players that go in sequential, and like the big band guys, like the white guys, like pulling in these black musicians that are like, the apex of the jazz, Louis Armstrong. They talk about him a lot. They talk about, Bird. They talk about Miles Davis. They talk about all these fantastic jazz musicians, dude. But it is a phenomenal, it's multi-series documentary on jazz on Amazon Prime. And I wish I had the name of it right in front of me, but it is fucking fantastic, dude. Let me ask you this. I know that you like the older school rock and roll. Now, I am like you, man, when it comes to music. If I'm chilling out and I'm relaxing and my mind, I hear it's been like this for the last few years. When I go to listen to music and I got my headphones on and I'm like doing something, there have been several albums lately that have just fucking like yanked me. You know what I mean? Like grab a hold of me and suck me into it, and I go back into these I don't know, journeys, man, back into music. And a friend of mine said he had played All Right Now by Free. He played the video of them doing it live, and I was like, I always loved that song. I knew Paul Rogers, right, from Bad Company, and I always liked Paul Rogers' voice. He was fucking amazing. A local vocalist here, Dale Steele, told me if I ever wanted to learn how to sing, that you just put on anything that has Paul Rogers vocally and he'll teach you how to sing. That's what he told me, right? So I was like, yeah, Bad Company's cool. Yeah, okay, whatever. So my buddy Gooch puts, you've met Gooch before. So Gooch puts on All Right Now by Free off the Fire and Water album. It's like their apex of the tunes from Free. That's like their main thing they were known for is All Right Now. So what I like to do, and this is Robin Trower is actually the artist that made me do this, because I love the group of musicians that he was with and who he was playing with. Much like Santana in the album Abraxas, I went to the album before Abraxas and I went to the album after Abraxas.
Yeah,
but
it's not the same.
The main group that made me do this was Robin Trower, and when I looked at the lineup of artists that he was playing with at the time, they were the same for those three albums: the one before, the one of Bridge of Sighs, and then the one after it. Okay, so I bought those three albums, and I thought, fucking A, these are fucking great albums all the way through each one of those albums. And if you want to go back, I got them over on the shelf over there, but doing the podcast, I'm not just going to jump up and grab them. Anyway, I would say to anybody who is interested in checking out Robin Trower's collection, the Bridge of Sigh album for me is like phenomenal, right? Go to the one before and the one after. You won't be disappointed, I guarantee you. So this is what I did with Free, is I found the Fire and Water album. I listened it from the front to the back and fell incredibly in love with this album. I mean, unbelievable from front to back. Fucking great. Every song on that album is fantastic. It starts out with Fire and Water, and then it goes, let me see here. I'm going to actually pull this up and look at it so I know what I'm talking about, because I know it's right here. So Fire and Water, and then it goes to a song called I Wept. And then it goes to Remember, Heavy Load, Mr. Big. Oh, it's going to play it. Damn it. Whoop, don't want to get in trouble. So it goes to Heavy Load, Mr. Big, Don't Say You Love Me. And if you're into like slow, like true heartfelt fucking tunes, that tune right there, Don't Say You Love Me, will pull your heartstrings like you're ready to shoot a fucking arrow across the world. It is absolutely fucking amazing. And if you haven't had a chance to really get down and listen to the Free Fire and Water album from front to back, this is the Bridge of Sigh album. Now, dude, I've been wanting to talk about this album for the longest time and go back to the old style of audio podcast to where I could play this album in entirety, dude. And I'm gonna say this to you, Nate. If you would be interested in listening to this album, if you've never heard this album, like listening to this and coming back on and doing a podcast like old school, and we'll listen to the album and kind of go through song by song. I know you guys have done this on Disciples of the Watch, but this is an album I think that you'd really, really dig if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, I have listened to it, but I'm not familiar with it enough to say I've listened to it. Like,
sure,
you know. But I'm definitely familiar with the song Fire and Water.
Right.
And, yeah, I would be down with that.
Yeah.
You know, I seen Down at First Avenue, like, the last time they were there, probably like 2006 or 5 or something like that. And they were playing these clips of all these old songs in between their setups, you know. And they had this live footage of that song, Fire and Water, and I didn't know it was free, but I memorized part of the lyrics because I wanted to go home and look for what it was, you know, and then I discovered it was free. And that song always grabbed me quite a bit, so often I put that one in playlists and stuff that I listen to, but it'd be fun to go listen to it on a more deep level because I haven't, so I might even try to pick it up on vinyl or something and just...
Dude, I'm going to tell you this right now, man, just from another guy who loves music to another guy who loves music, and the expansion of what you were talking about when you get that deep, open vibe on an album, man, I would say get one and fucking jump in that album, dude, because it is phenomenal. Once you put some headphones on, man, it is great from front to back. But I did the same thing with this album. They only have, I think, 5 or 6 albums, okay? And their first one was called Ton of Sobs. And this one is, Ton of Sobs is very, very bluesy. So if you like the blues, and you know, if you follow Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or fucking Rolling Stones or any of those old bands from that era, dude, they were all steeped in the blues that started in America. You know what I'm saying? Like they were way into the Muddy Waters and into the you know, the all the good blues, anything that you could, Albert King, Son House, all of the shit that you know, all of that shit. They were way into it. So that first album, Ton of Sobs, is really bluesy, and it is great. It's not as good as Fire and Water, but it is great. Now you move to the second album, Free. Now this is one that I kind of just grazed over because I was like, whatever. Like I took a Ton of Sobs, I took Fire and Water, and then I did the one after that, okay, which is Highway, I believe. And that is more rock and roll. That is like, they've moved to something completely different when they started doing it. And all of this is one of those bands, man, where I started getting into it. I started looking up every interview, every live performance, everything I could possibly find on these guys because I was just enthralled in it. I was like, holy fuck, how did I not find this stuff earlier in my life? Because it is just amazing, dude. And I have been playing it nonstop. But the second album, Free, is absolutely, absolutely amazing. It is up there. And this is the one that is right before Fire and Water. It's got I'll Be Creepin', which is an amazing tune. Songs of Yesterday, Lying in the Sunshine. The very first beginning of that lyric, he's like, I'm lying in the sunshine just outside my door. Whoa, it's just fucking badass, man, you know? Then it goes Trouble on Double Time. One of the lyrics in there is he's talking about his school teacher says, a man with two women is not a man but a fool. And he's what he says is he's not a man but a fool. It's just fucking hilarious. It's fantastic. And then it goes into Mouthful of Grass. Now, if you like to smoke blunts, what I would say is roll one of those up and play that song right as it starts, because it's like one of those things where you're puffing and you just kind of, You Take Off. That's one of those tunes. Mouthful of Grass, Woman, Free Me, Broad Daylight, Morning, Sad Morning, and that's 9 songs on that album, and that has overtaken the Fire and Water album for me, man. I listen to it every day for the last 2 months.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You find an album like that.
Yeah, just nonstop. How about you, man? You said you've got these jazz albums. What are some albums that are like a mainstay for you that come up a lot?
Shit. I don't know. I just was listening to Band of Gypsies from Hendrix, which is, I think of all of his work, after all these years of listening to Hendrix, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Especially that song Machine Gun. That's just fucking top notch.
Dude, that sustain that he does, just fucking, it's like a minute long of just, cranking. Amazing. 2 live shows at the Fillmore, right? Two live shows.
So.
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, I believe it was.
Yeah, you might be right. I guess I didn't think about that, but I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. My friend Ron Vasquez, he's an audio engineer here and a fantastic guitar player. That was one of those albums that he introduced me, because I told him I was a Hendrix fan. Oh yeah, what Hendrix albums have you heard? And I was like Hendrix Experience and the one with the face on the cover, And he's like Electric Ladyland. And I'm like, yeah, that's it, because it had crosstown traffic on it, that type of shit. Yeah. And he turned me on to Axis Bold as Love. And then he was like, I remember him pulling that record out, and like setting it on there and then putting it on there and it just coming in. We like to welcome an old friend with a brand new name, fucking the Band of Gypsies. Just comes in cranking. That's a fantastic album.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic album. So after Bands of Gypsies, what was that?
Well, I've been listening to I've been a little bit on an Anthrax kick. I just picked up the 35th anniversary of Persistence of Time. I finally got Sound of White Noise on vinyl. Not really a big fan of John Bush era, but I do really like that album. They really, really nailed it on that one, I feel like. But I'm an old school Anthrax fan in general. And as far as the Metallica Megadeth controversy, I'm definitely a bigger Megadeth fan. Just because I like extreme metal more. I definitely love Metallica and definitely appreciate the stuff that they did in the early days, and definitely a fan of the early albums, all that shit. Respect to those guys. Dave Mustaine was much more ferocious and was much more thrash orientated, and really I just felt like drove that scene. And then you had, of course, the other guys like Exodus and stuff too. And I'm a huge fan of Overkill. I love Overkill. Was always really kind of stuck in the early era Overkill, but Gene kind of really helped me really branch out. And we were kind of going through the Overkill albums and stuff. And when they did come out with Immortalis, I did kind of get back on board with Overkill at that time. And I've been kind of sticking with their newer albums and stuff. But yeah, even since I've been 14 years old when I got Under the Influence, been just a huge fan of Overkill. Of course, I said Slayer is a big fan of mine. Big King Diamond, Merciful Fate fan. Definitely would just huge fan since, first time I heard them, I was just a little bit freaked out. And I remember I traded it to a buddy because I don't know, man, this is a little bit fucking weird, And then he was like, God, this album's awesome. So then I got it again, and then I've just been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
And, yeah, King is fucking awesome. So I like some of the doom metal stuff. I just started getting into Candlemass after many years and not really ever caring about their music. I like Sleep, and I'm a big fan of Alice in Chains. Shit, man, this is a lot of stuff,
Yeah, the music is fantastic, man. It really is. I love, dude. Honestly, there's I've even had my daughter bring me some stuff that I'm like, you know what I mean? I've got guilty pleasures, man. I still listen to some pop shit and some different stuff. You know what I mean? My daughter, a couple years ago, there was like this beef between Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem. I don't know if you ever remember that ever popping up, where Machine Gun Kelly saw a picture of Eminem's daughter and made some crass comments about, you know, wanting to sleep with her or whatever. So Eminem like went on this tangent and made this album of all like him ripping on Machine Gun Kelly and all this other shit. And then Machine Gun Kelly gets cast as Tommy Lee in the Motley Crue bio movie. Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I did.
So my daughter, like I want to say maybe 6 months ago, I kind of lost track of the Machine Gun Kelly guy. Like I watched the Crew thing, and I thought, you know, hey, he did a good job in it. He kind of nailed Tommy Lee in the early days, how he was just kind of that dude. You know, hey, oh yeah, he's just all fucking, you know, every skitsy every which way. But my daughter played some of his new stuff, and it is like this poppy punk rock with, it's basically like Blink 182, because the drummer of Blink 182 is playing on the album, and he does a lot of this poppy punk rock shit. And as much as I want to go, this is complete garbage, there's stuff in there where I'm just like, it's hooky, it kind of catches you, you know what I mean? And you know, I've got my 14-year-old daughter playing this shit in the car. It's just like, I catch myself going, you know, like kind of opening my ear to it, you know, where, you know, my daughter says, oh, Dad, do you know who this is? And she played a couple Nirvana songs, you know, and I'm like thinking to myself, oh man, she's picking it up. She's going to figure out something here. You know, I'm like, excited for her to, you know, and I keep telling her, like, she picked up me listening to Amy Winehouse. It's like one of my favorite artists is Amy Winehouse, so I'd be listening to Amy Winehouse, and she'd cue on a couple of these tunes, so then she'll play them. Like, we'll be in the car and she'll play Amy Winehouse, and I'm like, have you listened to that whole album yet? And she'll go, no, just a couple songs, you know. And I remember, you know, as when we were kids, man, with the albums, like, you deliberately, when you put that album on, man, there was nothing to do but look at that album and pull the sleeve out and actually, you know what I mean? Look at some of these lyrics and shit. And kids these days, they just don't do it. Everything's digital. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You really miss out a lot.
Yeah.
But pop music is meant to just be listened to. Like, it's just meant to be consumed in a background kind of setting, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
I think there's some pop artists or whatever that have some legit music that, you know, is legit. You know what I mean? They put something into it and people get something out of it. But a lot of that is just, it's just meant for fucking consumption, you know? Yeah. Mindless consumption, if you ask me, you know what I'm saying? Like with the Nirvana thing, you know, I was excited for her to hear some of it. And I told her, like, I think her first tune was like our first, examples of Nirvana was, you know, Teen Spirit, you know what I mean? Smells Like Teen Spirit. So she's listening to that tune, and I'm like, you have to listen to that whole album. No, Dad, I'm not going to listen to it. And then eventually she was doing homework, and she just kind of another tune like popped up in her Pandora or something. So it was like, oh, I wonder what this is, and looks at it, and it's off the same album. So she just put that album on rotate, you know, shuffle. And I came back home from work, and she was listening to Territorial Pissings. And I was like, where did you actually listen to the album? And she was all excited to tell me, yeah, Dad, I sat down and listened to the whole album, and it was amazing. And then I told her about In Utero and stuff off of Bleach, and you know what I mean? Now she's finally starting to, like, her wheels are turning on some of this stuff, you know? And like telling her about Andrea Mitchell says 8 Mile. Yeah, stuff like that. But I was telling her about how Nirvana really changed the face of music for guys like us that were into heavy metal for so long, and anything from like Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Poison, you know, all the things that were really mainstream at that time, just crushed that stuff. Shut down.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Everything shut down, you know, and then it was all grunge. Let me see here. Craig Rosen's beard's checking in. Adam D said, great jazz movie. Great jazz is Whiplash. Did you see that movie?
Nope.
That's a good one. It's really good about a drummer. What, Adam? Do you know what drummer they were trying? Was that Buddy Rich or somebody like that they were portraying in that? I don't remember. Dan Extreme says Wu-Tang Forever double album LP was one of their best albums. Wu-Tang for life, he said. I agree with you there, man. That's good stuff. I love all that old that New York rap shit. It's so great, man.
You know, it's like, I know, like a lot of West Coast hip hop gets a lot of attention, you know, and they got like, you know, a lot of funk in their music and all that stuff. And, but you know, like, and the thing that really grabbed me on that Wu-Tang album too, is it's just like, they just go into the, like, it's just raw. It's just lyrics, man. It's just the lyrics and the fucking beat.
Yep.
And it's just amazing. I just love that. That's like, they could be just sitting in some apartment in Brooklyn laying that track down, you know what I'm saying? That's how it feels. And so all those rappers from the East Coast, like Mobb Deep too, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of hip hop guys that, you know, were involved in different things and got into hip hop and kind of got some money and maybe got away from the lifestyle. But I was reading like the autobiography of Prodigy from Mobb Deep, and those guys were like fucking stone cold gangsters. Like, even when they were like at the Grammys or whatever they were at, like they're, you know, the BET Awards or whatever, like they were living the lifestyle even while they were seeing success, you know what I'm saying? And so I have a lot of respect for those guys, just because when you listen to their raps, it's like they probably were out jacking somebody's starter jacket just after putting that track down, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because they grew up in these tough-ass fucking neighborhoods in New York and stuff, you know? It's like a lot of us couldn't even really comprehend how how tough some of those neighborhoods were, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless you grew up there, so... anyways, but I dig all that really raw, man, just laying it down. But I have appreciation for the other stuff too. But it really says a lot about a hip hop artist when they can just paint the picture with their lyrics and a beat. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Craig, he did actually mention Eazy-E back in the day was one of the first rap cats that he listened to a lot too. So that's funny you say that. And it's funny you brought that up because I actually just downloaded that first Eazy-E album again, like last week, I think. And it was just playing some of that shit. And that's another guy, if you go back to that history of that shit that started selling dope. And I just saw a biography on him on Amazon Prime again. And they were talking about how his cousin got shot in the streets, and that he knew where his cousin's stash was. Like, he was out there hustling and selling dope and shit, but his cousin gets shot down in the street, and he goes and finds his stash, and that's the money that basically funded them to get started with NWA and that first Eazy-E album. And he paid for all of that studio time. He paid for all the gear that Dr. Dre was working with, you know, and all that shit. It's well documented with all that. That is a great story too. Craig, if you get a chance, look on Amazon Prime if you got that. There's a great Eazy-E documentary about that. It talks about his whole story and how, regardless of Dr. Dre being signed to Death Row Records and having all this shit, Eazy-E was still making money off of him because he owned his ass, basically. You know what I mean? Like, before he died, like he still was making money off the diss albums and shit that Dr. Dre was doing towards him, the Chronic album and all that shit. He made money off of that shit, man. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, respect to those guys that, you know, that people give shit to hip hop or whatever, I guess in the metal community and stuff. And I guess there's always these lack of crossover in scenes, but, you know, as an adult, fucking whatever. But when you look at like hip hop from the early stuff, especially those guys that actually did live that lifestyle, there's a reason why that stuff's more popular, and it's because they were actually reflecting what was legit. You know what I'm
their
saying?
surroundings.
Like, you know, like if you listen to a new Wu-Tang album, it's still really good, but they're still kind of rapping about the streets, and it's like, okay, you've been a millionaire now for like 20 years or however long it's been. You know, you're kind of away from the fucking streets a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they still have some pretty relevant social commentary, and that's kind of what I look for in hip hop. Is it can be totally thugged out, but I do like to hear a little bit of social commentary in it, because I think that is a representation of their culture and what they've experienced. So, and I always appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Dan Extreme says Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Onyx, Biggie, Redman is all raw, old school, dirty street hip hop. He said their lyrics were always about grimy East Coast ghetto lifestyle. He said, I resonated with being from Newark, New Jersey. Yep. That's I couldn't even imagine being so close to that too, Dan. That would have been crazy. You guys got to see all of that shit like from the ground up, man. It'd be so sick to see that shit. Like I couldn't even imagine, I've always been a huge Redman fan too. I really like Redman shit, and Biggie's like one of my favorite. I know people are kind of split down the middle with the whole Biggie Tupac thing, and I'm not trying to drudge it, but he kind of they're already dead. But anyway, I always liked Biggie's style more than I liked Tupac, and I know Tupac's got a mammoth catalog compared to the 3 albums or whatever that Biggie did or whatnot, but I just never really caught on to Tupac that much. I mean, there were a few songs that caught me, but it wasn't nowhere near. I really like that first Biggie album is unstoppable all the way through.
Tupac did that album called Thug Life with what wasn't like necessarily his album, but he did it with some other people. I don't really know who else all rapped on that, but
sure.
There's some really killer tracks on that one. But otherwise, I would agree with that too, as I would listen to more. As far as those two would go, I'm more towards the Biggie too. But
yeah.
But even him, I don't listen to as much as some of the other more underrated like Big L and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, Andrea Mitchell was saying she likes the Beastie Boys. She started singing some Brass Monkey, That Funky Monkey. She said LL Cool J. Then she went back to the Beastie Boys with No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and then she said Body Count. Now, did you listen to that newer Body Count album?
I haven't, but I want to say something about, since we're talking about hip hop.
Sure.
I originally started listening to hip hop early 80s. And they used to play it on Fresh Air, KMOJ, I think, like that. They had hip hop, and it was like Houdini and Run DMC and the Fat Boys and things like that. So that was like when I first got into hip hop. That was what I really was first introduced to, and then liking metal at the same time, kind of just starting to get into metal too. The Beastie Boys really appealed to me as well. So that was a really fun time of music with. Thrash was coming out at that time, and hip hop was really developing, and I don't know. There's just so much cool music to discover back then, And you were talking about your daughter, and it's just remembering being a child and discovering music is a very, very fun process, man.
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome. That's why I like to keep talking about it, because it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, I wish that, like I said, man, I want to do some of the old school podcasts where I could actually play some music, and I think that free situation is going to be for me, because it's something I've been so passionate about lately with that. I went on the same tangent with Faith No More, man. I just listened to everything that they had, and I know that my buddy was saying, what was it, King for a Day, maybe was it? Do you know which Faith No More has the? I should know this, dude. I should know this. I'm not
super familiar with Faith No More. I just know Epic.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Let me see here. That was my introduction to those guys, and I really fell in love with those guys from that album. Faith No More. Here we go. King for a Day. Yeah, my buddy said. He said, because Epic for me was my favorite, hands down, Faith No More album, because it's the one I knew the most. It was the time that I saw them was on that album. The first 2 times I saw them was with Sacred Reich. Phil from Sacred Reich told me about Faith No More. He said if you ever get a chance to see them, and they ended up coming like a couple months after that. And I remembered the name because I was into into Sacred Reich so fucking much that he goes, dude, if you ever get a chance to see Faith No More, you have to check them out. So when they came, they played with Babes in Toyland at First Avenue, dude, and it was like maybe 150 people in the whole room. It was just fucking undersold, you know what I mean? No, and they played that entire Epic album all the way through. Then they came back with Soundgarden, Faith No More, Soundgarden, and Voivod. And I saw that show, and this is when MTV just started launching them, you know what I mean? And they were about to just blow up. Well, my buddy, years afterwards, you know, they come out with Angel Dust, and I really like that album too, but I was still like, Epic is the fucking one. He said to me, dude, you got to listen to King for a Day. And I was like, he goes, it is their best album. And I was like, go fuck yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? One of those, like, I'm stuck on the Epic album. You know what I mean? But I slowly gravitated to that King for a Day album. That's another one, dude, that if you ever got into them at all, that's an album you should put in your headphones and, you know, enjoy it.
Check it out.
Because
I haven't really listened to that much.
Yeah, it's a great album, dude. All the way through, it's fantastic. Dan Extreme says it was crazy. I lived a couple blocks away from Redman and a local group called the Outsiders, and he said that literally owned a laundromat on the corner of my block. Stolen cars, shootout, street fights were the norm. So that's Newark, New Jersey, right there, explaining that era of hip hop. That's just insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, New York City in the 70s and 80s was like, you know, like maybe one of the most dangerous places in the world. Even, you know, it was really fucking bad at that time. You know?
Yeah. So let me throw this at you. Kimberly Speranza said, "Do you remember where you were when you first heard When Doves Cry? The early '80s, yo." That's what she said.
When Doves Cry?
Yeah.
What? Say that again.
She said, "Do you remember where you were when you first heard When Doves Cry?"
No. But I remember the song, you know,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Minnesota, for Christ's sake.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing, man. Prince was my jam when I was a kid, man. I love that shit, man.
I never got into that. I always felt like that was my parents' music, you know.
Right.
I'd probably appreciate it more now if I went back and checked it out.
Oh, dude, if you get them first couple albums, you know that the first couple albums, the first few Prince, my favorite Prince album. I know there's a bass player from Semtex, Damien Travell. We've talked about this on a couple things on Facebook about Love Sexy. The Love Sexy album by Prince is by far one of my favorite Prince albums. It is like obscure kind of shit to where like all the ones that they've reproduced since his passing, like all the big ones, you know, Purple Rain, the Under the Cherry Moon, fucking Around the World in a Day, 1999. I mean, all of those are all reproduced now, but the Love Sexy album is one that I don't see at any record shops. And here's the fucked up thing about it, dude, is that I was at Cheapo fingering through albums, and this was just before he died, dude. I pick up an album and it has the promotional stamp on it of the fucking Love Sexy album. I set it back in there thinking, I'll come back in a week to get it, right? I come back, it's still there, but I found other shit. I found Earth, Wind, and Fire, some Sly and the Family Stone, just shit that I really wanted at that time. I grabbed those albums, I come back the following week and it's gone. And I have not found, he died right after that. I can't find that album anywhere right now. It just fucking blows my mind. So yes, Kimberly, I do know where I was when I heard When Doves Cry and that whole album. I was actually into Prince before Purple Rain with 1999. I love that album, Delirious and all that shit. Yeah, love. What is it? Oh man, what is it? Sex, Music, Dance, Romance, or some shit like that. Love. I can't remember the lyrics, but that fucking, the keyboard when it comes in, it does that. It's just this funky keyboard groove, man. And he wrote all of that shit, man. I saw him on fucking, yeah, that's it. Dance, Music, Sex, Romance. That's what it is. That's the one. So I saw him on American Bandstand the first time that I'd ever heard of Prince. And he was, you know, Dick Clark comes up to him and asks him about how many instruments he plays, and he said about 100. You know, nice. That's insane. Yeah. So Minnesota
genuine
folks,
talent there, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And a crazy way to go down too. You know what I mean? Like the guy who doesn't allow any drugs around his premises. You know what I mean? Like dies of a drug overdose by, you know, painkillers that, you know, his body was fucked up from all those years of dancing in them stiletto boots of his, man. You know what I'm saying?
Here you go. You got these pharmaceutical companies, man, that are making fucking record profits And they're hooking people all over the fucking world on these opiates and shit, and starting these epidemics and stuff. But you can go to prison for having some other kind of drug. You know what I'm saying? It's just fucking ridiculous. It's like that's some of the worst, the opiates, man. So I feel bad for anybody who gets sucked up in that shit.
I've had a lot of people. I want to say within the last 4 years, man. I had a cat, a local musician. I won't say his name or anything, but talking about microdosing with mushrooms, man, and having great success with it. And within the last couple years, man, I've run into people that have been microdosing a lot to try to get their depression and anxiety and things under control. And I've seen some people have some fantastic results, man. What are the psychedelics like in Colorado? Are they doing a lot of things over there that way?
Denver, it's decriminalized. Mushrooms are just the city of Denver, not the state of Colorado or anything.
Okay.
But you just see articles more and more. I follow the Denver Psychedelic Club or something like that, and there's it's just more and more becoming legalized and decriminalized and legitimately looked at for treatment of depression and PTSD and things like that. And I had a lot of experiences with it when I was younger, and I've had some other experiences with it in my adult years as well. But I think that those kind of drugs, or that kind of a plant medicine, specifically talking about mushrooms, is a more of effective type thing to do in a setting where you're actually not listening to Jimi Hendrix and smoking weed, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Though it's very fun to trip out and laugh with your friends, it can really make you introspective. And there's been times like on LSD, like where you're holding something in your hand and you just can't really conceive of what it is. You know what I mean? It's like there's something to that state of mind. You know what I'm saying? Or that lack of state of mind. And if you do psychedelics in a more, I guess, setting where you're actually using it for a medicinal type purpose, I think you could have much more success.
Yeah.
I mostly just did it in usually in an intimate setting with friends, just because I never found it was really like a party type drug. But more and more people are looking at it from a ceremonial perspective, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's becoming more and more recognized. And then clinical too, where I guess you could have, you could go in and you could take these and actually have a therapist like lead you through the process.
Right.
And that stuff's all been checked out before, like Timothy Leary, he was a Harvard professor. Those guys all explored LSD. Ram Dass, I forgot his name before he was a Harvard professor as well.
Right.
And those guys all, studied the psychedelic or the psychological aspect of psychedelics and kind of mapped the mind and whatever and the experiences. And but the yogis just say that's just like a shortcut to the ultimate experience. But there's shortcuts, as you know, with anything in life, don't really ever give you the full appreciation of what it is you're trying to experience. And so really going through the arduous journey of the spiritual path of meditating and facing all the bullshit you got in your, that you have blocking you, that's going to establish a more lasting effect of what you're trying to get at with psychedelics. But I do think that as an aid, I think is very, in my opinion, I think it could be very valuable. But you can't circumvent legitimate work, whatever it is. If maybe if spirituality is not your thing, maybe something else is. However, you deal with whatever damaging shit's happened to you in your lifetime, which a lot of us have had, and you have to face that stuff. You can't avoid it. And but anyways, the psychedelics I think could help, but I just think people can't circumvent the actual work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
To really bring true healing.
Yeah.
I
agree with you there. I know a lot of people, they do a lot of those, Prozacs and things like that for mental illness. Well, that, I mean, like anxiety even, people, take Xanax and Valium and things to like really chill them out. You know what I mean? To bring them down from all my wife was going through it real hard, not to put her business out there, but with pills, man, you know what I mean? Like they prescribe you one thing, and if they don't work the way they're supposed to, they prescribe you something else. And then that, coming down off of one medication to the next medication, it kind of stacks this anxiety and this, racing thoughts and, that chatter in your mind that you can't seem to control. My wife had a really, really hard time last year during the whole COVID thing and working from home and having my daughter at home. And, it was really, really difficult for her. And to find her, and she's not someone that really has ever looked to, marijuana or psychedelics or anything like that to alleviate any of that for her, hers is, a little deeper than that and has had to have to be prescribed stuff. But these days, man, a kid may have a little bit of depression. When we were kids, there was nothing like that. You were fucking stuck on Ritalin if they thought you were hyperactive and shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit that you do Ritalin as a normal person, man. You're hopped up like you're on meth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's fucked up too if you look back on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how they chose to deal with stuff, by just putting you on drugs at a young age. You know what I'm saying? For people who are on that stuff. Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
With the antidepressants and stuff like that, now I knew this from years and years ago, and I had some experiences with it early on in my prison experience when I tried some antidepressants. But they're saying more and more now that people that have suicidal thoughts and things like that. And I had really bizarre, like violent thoughts and stuff to where I was concerned about it. Like 2 weeks into taking Prozac. You know what I mean? And so I've just always been like, I don't know, like some of these people who go off on these like mass killings and stuff like that, they're on that stuff. And you just wonder, like, you're taking a drug that can short circuit something in your brain. What the fuck if you just got some weird message or something? You just did some bizarre shit because your brain's not fucking connecting right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I've always been really spooked about the pharmaceutical aspect of that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I pretty much white knuckled for a lot of my life through a lot of different things, but yeah, anyways, gratitude to having a path to follow, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man. And it seems like, having the experiences that you had in your past, you know what I mean? And finding that, like you kind of alluded to that earlier too, like finding that path and finding, the yoga and the meditation and things like that, man. Dude, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that I get to talk to the Nate that I met in the beginning. We were probably doing some of the crazy shit, at the same time, back then. But, it's good to see someone find a cool path and fucking run with it, man, and stick with it. That's badass, dude.
Yeah, I'm very humble and got tons of gratitude for it.
Hey,
every single day, literally, I acknowledge my gratitude for many different things every day. You know what I'm saying? Because
sure.
I had fucking nothing. So
yeah, and
very grateful.
It can go away at any time, man. We all know that. You know what I mean? We talked about your brother Boots earlier and that type of thing. That goodness, man. It can turn on a dime, man. And it's good to be humble and fortunate and I was just admiring your shirt.
Yeah, man, you made this for me. Hey, I'm going to on 420. I'm going to there's a House of Rastafari church here, and they're having like a show, a bunch of reggae and hip hop and stuff. And there's a hip hop artist I like called Illuminati Congo.
Yeah.
And he's got more spiritual type lyrics and stuff like that. But he's going to be there. But anyways, I'm going to wear this hoodie down there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
awesome,
man. And when anybody asks about it, I'm going to let them know to check out Ritual Madness.
Yeah.
Ritual Stitches.
Yeah. Dude, I love it, man. I was really, really nervous about how it would come out, man, because I got the sweatshirt and you know what I mean? I was like, oh, man, I want to make this really, really cool for him, And then I remember with the yellow, and I used a lot of black in that one too, man, like more than I normally would have, And as I'm washing it out and I'm squeezing it and rinsing it, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at the yellows and I'm just like, I was more disappointed, you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, man, the yellow didn't come out the way it was supposed to. And like all the dyers, I've only been doing this shit like 6 months, you know what I'm saying? So it's like all the dyers are like, never cry until it's dry is what they say. You know,
Yeah,
so
it pops a lot after it dries sometimes, right?
yeah, you know, so I wrung that fucker out, man, and I put it on, I hung it on a hanger, and as it dried, man, I was like, damn, if this was a 4X, I'd be calling Nate going, dude, I'm not going to send this fucker, man. Yeah. Yeah. It looks,
outside of work, I basically live in it. So,
yeah. That's awesome, dude.
I love it, man.
Yeah, your red and gold one turned out really well too, man. I like that one too. That was fun.
Yep, I was just wearing that one the other day, man.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I appreciate you, supporting it, and it's great, dude. Because like I'm in all black right now, but this is like my work attire. Like I don't even give a shit, you know. When I'm at home, I mean I've actually got a tie dye on underneath this one too, so it's kind of. I don't know.
I wear a lot more colorful stuff now than I did for quite a period there, where I wore just a lot of black and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, if you could see,
I like a little flash, man.
If you could see that tapestry in the background, that's like I've only done like 4 tapestries, and that was my favorite one. And I was like, I better put that in the studio, just to have it. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. Well, yeah, man, that's fucking amazing. I appreciate you, dude. The picture that you took with you looking out with the red hat on in that sweatshirt, looking out on what was it? You said it was Golden, Colorado, right?
Yep, Golden, Colorado.
Dude, that's the cover photo for the Ritual Stitches, man.
Nice.
It was so epic to me, like. My friend contacts me to do a Rasta sweatshirt for him in Colorado. I was like so stoked to just get it out there to you, dude. You know what I mean? And then when you took a picture of it and it was that epic, I was like, yeah, that's got to be the cover photo for the tie dye shit, you know?
Yeah, my wife did a lot of photography, did some schooling for it, and has just done a lot. She's got a good eye for it, and so she caught that one. So she catches some good ones, you know?
Yeah. Tell her thanks. 'Cause it's awesome, dude. It's really awesome. I still got another XX sweatshirt too, if you get any crazy ideas.
Yeah, I might actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought 2 because I wanted to make sure I got you a good one. So I was like, I'm buying 2 in case I fuck one of them up. You know what I mean? I did 2 for myself after I did yours because I was like super stoked. But I got a different blend. I think that's like a 90-10. So it's 90% cotton, 10% poly, where the ones I bought were like 60-40. So they don't pop like that one ended up popping.
This one's nice and heavy too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably real good for that type of climate too, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's totally like hoodie weather all winter here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how cold does it get there? Like in that part of Colorado that you're in?
I think a few times we've seen down in like the single digits, but nothing like below 0. And it's cold. Like it'll be cold for a few days, but then it warms up. And it snows. Like I woke up to 6 inches this morning. I was just kayaking on Sunday. And so that's just, that's how it is here in the wintertime. But it's basically hoodie weather all winter because the sun is so warm here in the mountains.
Yeah.
So if the sun is shining and you're in the sun, like in the car, it can be 45 degrees outside and you have the air conditioning on in the car because the sun is so hot coming in the window,
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as Minnesota, and I'm glad to be out of Minnesota winters.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
So
that brutal below 0 is just bullshit, man.
Dude, it seems to get fucking way harder the older I get too, man. It feels like my body's like, oh, fuck, man. I mean, it could be that I'm a big fat fucker, but at the same time, man, it's just my joints and everything, man. It kicks my ass pretty good. So with the podcast, man, so you guys are just trying to really work out a good system for you guys to be able to connect on that thing. And I've seen that Gene's been doing time travel radio.
Yeah, he's done 1970, 1971. He's picking a bunch of albums that came out during that time, and he's got a playlist on Spotify, which you can find through the DOTW Spotify.
Yep.
And then you can find the playlist on there. and Time Travel Radio, I believe, is what the playlists are called. It's really cool. I've listened to the Spotify playlists and stuff because there's just a lot of stuff that come out in those years that maybe you didn't consider or you kind of forget about, and or maybe you never heard, and it's interesting.
Yeah,
And it was a really rich era of music. So.
yeah, for sure. Definitely, folks, if you have not had a chance to check out the Disciples of the Watch podcast, dotwpod.com, check these guys out, man. They have some fantastic episodes. They do solicit for local stuff too, man. Unsigned bands. They do play their music on their podcast too. So if you've got some stuff, Adam D, I'm talking to you, buddy. If you've got some music, get it over to Gene Vogel and submit it to those guys. And if they decide, I mean, I from what I understand from past episodes, these guys get quite a bit of a catalog when it comes to people sending stuff in. So they get a lot of submissions. So get your stuff to them, dotwpod.com. Check out their podcast. It's a fantastic podcast. They do cover a ton of different rock genres, metal stuff. Nate's even brought on some rap stuff too, right?
Rap and reggae and some country. Gene, he likes metal and rock and some different things like that. And I like metal and then some of that other kind of stuff. And we're more focused like on rock and metal, but definitely I introduce some different music types, and Gene does as well. And we do really appreciate playing independent artist music. It's actually a preference just for us to get that out there. It's fun to play other national acts and stuff like that, talk about it, play it, but ultimately it's just a nice way to be able to share music for people who don't have the airplay that major acts get. And preferably don't send YouTube links. Gene likes if you actually send a usable file of some type.
Yeah, usable file. Give them a little bit, and I found this too with the submissions that I can play on the YouTube channel as well. Send a little bit of a bio. Tell them where you're from. Send some music. Send maybe the cover art or a photo of the band. That always helps because they always connect like the cover of the album or the song that they're playing, with all the information on there too. When they put it on their website, when they put it out there, Gene likes to talk about where they're from, what I mean. He really gets into that, and these guys are two phenomenal music lovers. They're fucking guys who collect vinyl. They're the guy, they go deep on some stuff. There's albums that now we talked about this a little bit before too, that you guys went through the entire Overkill catalog or something too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did it in sections. Yeah, that was really fun.
And Deep Purple too, right?
Yeah, we've done some Deep Purple stuff, and man, it's been a lot over the years. But sometimes we'll pick like an obscure, like an odd album, like Forbidden by Black Sabbath that people hate, and we'll go track by track and talk about it, and maybe just play a couple of songs. Like Gene and I, each will pick one song, and then we'll finish out the show with one song. But yeah, we like to talk about all that kind of different stuff.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. I always like listening to your guys' podcast when I'm at work, when I can like sit down and record, or I mean, not record, but work on, tools and shit where I can actually sit down and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I haven't had much time for that lately because they've had me on the road so much. What website is that again? It's dotwpod.com is the name of their website. Get a hold of those guys. You can hit them up on Stitcher. You can listen to them. That's where I subscribe to them, is on Stitcher. I'm sure they're on iTunes. They're on Spotify. Nate was just saying their playlists are on Spotify as well. So yeah, definitely check them out. We're coming to the end of it, Nate. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do it. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're just settling in and getting everything squared away there in Colorado. I appreciate you coming on and doing it and taking the time and having a good conversation, man. I think we established some great stuff on this podcast, and it's always great to chat with you.
It's awesome to chat with you too, man. It's really good to see you too. I miss people so much from moving away, but it's great that we can connect this way, like through Zoom and stuff like that. So
hell yeah, and the offer does stand too, man. If you are interested in actually like going through one of these free albums and sitting down and chatting about it, or listening to it and chatting about it, it'd be fantastic. We can actually
get it on the calendar and do it, man.
Okay,
sure.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. All right, man. You want to pump anything before we head out, or you want to say goodbye to everybody or anything like that?
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. Anybody that's tuned in and listened, appreciate it. It's just been fun chatting about all these different things, and I don't know, man. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Nate. I'll let me finish this out, and then I'll chat with you after this is done too. Folks, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to the podcast and all the support throughout the years, man. I really appreciate it. If you haven't had a chance, go over to ritualmadnesspodcast.com. We've got a ton of episodes over there. 226 are up right now. 227 is right here. We're about to put that one up. It will be up on YouTube. If you haven't had a chance yet, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our socials. Facebook, Ritual Madness Podcast on Facebook, Ritual Madness Podcast on Instagram, Ritual Madness MN on Twitter, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, man. We're hitting at 213. I've been steady at 213 for 2 weeks now, and I really haven't solicited anybody's subscriptions or anything. So if you're listening to this or watching this or anything like that, because I put the audio up as well, yeah, if you're at work and you want to listen to it, hit me up on Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, that type of stuff. Thank you very much for all the support. As always, check out Anti-Broadcasting Incorporated Screen Printing, antibroadcasting@gmail.com, 612-836-9488. If you're looking to get some tattoo work, don't forget to look up Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. Hit those guys up for a quote. If you want to send them some art and ask them what they charge for that stuff, or give them a call. 612-353-4755, 612-353-4755. Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective. Don't forget, we've got a benefit coming up for Tanner Young, cancer benefit, poker run, June 19th, 10th annual Louis Bailey Senior Memorial Poker Run. That's a fucking tongue twister right there. Registration, breakfast at 10 a.m. Kickstands are up at noon. Park Place Sports Bar in St. Paul Park, 200 Broadway Avenue, $20 per rider. If you want to follow us in your car to each one of the stops, we're going to No Name, the Gaslight, Naughty Hog, Harbor Bar, and then back to the Park Place for a barbecue dinner, and that is all included when you do the $20 per rider. Also, they're giving away $100 for the best poker hand. You get your scorecard at the beginning. They give you a card each stop, and your best 5-card hand wins $100. If you got a kick-ass motorcycle, bring it. They want to give you a trophy for best bike. Do that. It's going to be fun. There's going to be tons of raffles, all kinds of stuff. All proceeds go to Tanner Young's family. Tanner Young and his family are getting the benefits of this particular run, and we appreciate Louis Bailey and the Bailey family for having the Young family involved in this whole thing. We appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for checking it out. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, we're back here on Fridays, 7:30. Come check it out. Come hang out with us. That type of stuff. I'm not sure who I have next week. I don't have a list in front of me right now, but I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good evening. Thanks. Good night.
Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast. Ritual Madness Podcast.